Hi everybody! I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 9, Writing Fractions as Decimals. So in the last lesson we did the opposite. We went from decimals to fractions. Now we're going to go fractions to decimals. And the reason why this is important is because every number has either a decimal value or a fraction value. They can be written either way, rational numbers anyway, right? But with that, it's important to know both because depending on what you're doing with the numbers, it might matter more than the other, whether it's in fraction form or decimal form. In construction, maybe you need fractions, right, when you're measuring something. In baking, you need fractions. That's how measuring cups and stuff are written, is in fraction form. But maybe with decimals, maybe you're measuring weight of something, or you're measuring medicine or something like that, then that might be in decimal form. So it really does matter, and it's important to know how they are related, okay? So for this first example, we're going to convert 3/16 to a decimal using long division. I'm pretty sure most of the problems in your lesson go to the hundredths place. So we could do that, or whatever place value it tells you to go to, go ahead and make sure that you do that. So in order to convert a fraction to a decimal, now first off, we've talked about this before, but every fraction is a division problem. This is like 3 divided by 16. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up 3 divided by 16. Now that doesn't work, right? In your brain, you're probably like thinking, Mayday, Mayday, this isn't working. But that's why we go ahead and we can insert our decimal point and bring it straight up into our answer. And then we can annex a 0, right? That means putting a 0 in there. Whether that 0 is there or not, it's still the same number, right? Either way, it's equal to the number 3. So I have not changed the value at all. But now that my decimal point is in my answer, I can go ahead and I can pretend like this is a 30 now. That's how I'm going to treat it. But because I'm going to be placing numbers in beyond my decimal, that tells me that it's less than 1 whole. All right? So I need to think to myself, well, how many times does 16 go into 30? That only goes in 1 whole time. If I used 2 16s, I'd be up at 32. That's too high. So I'm going to subtract out what I used, 16. I have 14 left over. Okay, so because I still have some left over, but I need to go to my next place value. Well, I don't have anything in that next place value, so I'm going to annex another 0. Okay, I still have not changed the value of my original number. Now I need to think, ooh, all right, I'm getting it up into higher numbers now, right? 140. Well, one way to kind of estimate and kind of get a good guesstimate for how many times 16 goes into 140, one thing you could think to yourself is, well, if I multiply 16 by 10, that gets me to 160. But that's too high. But it's fairly close, right? And even if I take 160 and I subtract 116 from it, I'm still going to be too high. That would be 9 of them. So most likely it's going to be 8. So even if you don't know it off the top of your head, just write it off to the side. 8 times 6 is 48. So I'm going to drop my 8, carry my 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12, getting me to 128. So, and that is as close as I can get before going over 140. Let's see what that leaves us with. 140 minus 128 leaves me with 12. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna keep going. Because notice, alright, I can annex another 0, drop it down. Well, look how close this was, right? So I know that I can fit 7 16s into 120, because I was at 128. So if I take away 116 from the 128, I can say, well, that got me to 112. Okay, that leaves me with 8 left over. I'm getting a little less each time. Okay. Annex another 0, bring it down. 16 going into 80. Well, let's see here. You can estimate, you can think to yourself, okay, well, let's see. 16 times 10 got us to 160, right? 16 times 10 is 160. Half of 160 is 80. Oh, thank goodness, we're just about done, right? And half of 160 is 80, right? Half of 10 is 5, so that tells me that 5 times 16 equals 180. And I used all of it, so I'm all done with this problem. So this would be our exact final answer. We could say that 3/16 is equal to 0 and 1,875 10,000ths. That's how you would say that number. All right. If it were to ask me, and I don't have the problem in front of me, I should, but I don't, unfortunately. If it asks you to round to the hundredths place, what you would do is you would look, well, here's my hundredths place. I'm going to look to the right of it. Since that is 5 or higher, that means my 8 gets bumped up 1, and this would round or estimate at 0 and 19 hundredths. Okay, so if it asks you, that's what you got to do there. We're going to try 2 more. Okay, this first one, we're going to convert 3 3/8 to a decimal. Now, it's a mixed number, and the nice thing about a mixed number is, like, whatever the whole number is, that's just automatically the number that goes in front of your decimal. So I'm just going to bring that straight into my answer, but now I need to figure out, well, what is 3/8 as a decimal? And I'm going to do that same process that I was doing earlier. I'm going to do 3 divided by 8. Well, that doesn't work, right? So we're going to put our decimal point in and annex a 0. Now you need to think to yourself, how many times does 8 go into 30, right? Because since my decimal is taken care of, I don't need to worry about it anymore. So 8 goes into 30 3 times. I used 24, right? 8 times 3 is 24, so we have 6 left over. Well, I got to go on to my next place value, so I'm going to annex another 0. 8 goes into 60. 8 goes into 60 7 times. We used 56. Now I have 4 left over. Well, got to annex another 0 to go on to that next place value. 8 goes into 40. Ooh, yay! 5 times. It goes in perfectly, making that my final answer. So I just need to take this and put it right in there to give me 3 3/8 is equal to 3 375 thousandths. Okay? So that's how you apply a whole number from the mixed number. All right, last one, 7/11. So set up your division problem, 7 divided by 11. Well, we know that doesn't work, right? We're dealing with fractions and decimals. We're going to put our decimals straight into our answer and annex a 0. I'm going to treat this I'm going to treat this 7 like a 70, right? Ignore my decimal for right now. 11 goes into 76 whole times. I used 66 out of the 70, giving me 4 left over. Let's go ahead and annex another 0. and drop it down. 11 goes into 40 3 times. I used 33, so I have 7 left over. What do you notice? Right? Let's see, let's go a couple more. Let's annex one more 0. Oh, I'm back to 70. I'm back to right where I started. But we can test it. 11 goes into 70 6 times. I used 66. I've got 4 left over. Annex a 0. Oh, I'm stuck in a loop, right? So this tells me it's a repeating decimal, okay? Once you figure out that you're in a repeating decimal, what you can do is you can stop and you can write it as, in this case, we would have 0 and, right, I have a 0 because there was no whole number, 0 and 63 repeating. And you're just going to put that bar over the 63, and that tells us it's just going to go on and on with that pattern forever, okay? So there's 3 different types of problems. I hope that helps you, and as always, reach out if you need extra support, okay?